Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we have this position. It's white to move and win, so you can pause the video to find the answer on your own. Okay, so the major point here is that we have to try to make a queen and win the game. So either we take this pawn or we push and play g7. You might say, well, why don't we play something else? Well, something else, like for example, bishop here or something like that, or moving the king, I don't know, or taking here, for example, is not going to be good because then he's going to capture this pawn and potentially lead to a draw because it's not going to be enough material to win the game. But that's why we have to use this pawn to get away with a win. Now, what happens if we played g takes h7? We took this pawn. Now, as you can see, this rook cannot go back to stop the pawn because of the bishop. And this rook cannot do the same. So this looks pretty much winning, right? Well, black here in this position can play rook takes f3. If king takes here, the rook will go back and protect against the pawn. Okay, what if the king takes this rook? Then there will be rook to f1 check. It doesn't really matter where the king actually goes, and rook to f8 to stop the pawn from pushing, and then black will just win the pawn and then sacrifice. Or even for example, if white decided to play like this and rook here, no, this is bad. This is really bad. For example, some kind of a check, king moves, and this move, for example, is played. At the end, we're gonna play, and black gonna play king to h6. This is gonna sack the rook for the pawn. Bishop takes and king takes. And if you don't know this at the end games, that the pawn on the side of the board, okay, will never promote, never. If the king is there, if the king is holding that square, so it will never be a win for white. That's why after rook sacrifice and bishop takes and king takes, this pawn will never promote. Okay. So after rook takes, check, and the rook goes back to stop this pawn. Okay, so this is only if we take this pawn. Do we have something else? Well, let's see. What about g7 though? What about this move? Can he do the same though? Like the rook cannot go back. Neither of these two rooks can go back. So can we try the same thing? Sack the rook. For example, if the king takes right here, maybe we have a way to go somewhere like this and stop the pawn. Like for example, if king takes e1, then there will be rook g3. And after bishop here, for example, trying to block the rook from attacking this pawn, bishop g4, then there is rook takes g4. And then after pawn takes, black will not, of course, not take. He's going to play this, king to h6. Now, it doesn't matter if black promotes to a queen or a rook or a knight, it's going to be a draw because after a queen, this is stalemate. Black can now move. And if we promote it to a knight or whatever, he's going to go here, he's going to win the pawn, it's going to be a draw. So, okay, what if white takes this rook? What's going to happen now? Well, there is this really sneaky move, and that is rook to g1, stopping this pawn. It doesn't matter if black defends it or anything. I think we can still... No, he cannot, because then we're going to win the free pawn. And if we promote, we just take it. But there's a move, which is the same move played here, but at a different variation. Bishop to g4 check. Now here, he's going to promote in the next move. So, there are two moves here. Either rook takes g4 or king h6. For example, king to h6, white promotes to a queen. This is a draw. The reason, because there's rook g3 check. And if he went here, it doesn't really matter if he went there or there. It's going to be rook takes g4. It doesn't matter if he takes with the king, with the queen, or with the pawn. It's going to be a stalemate. And if the king moved away, black will win the queen. Okay, what if the king decided to go down? King f2, king e2. There will be rook g2 check. And it's just going to be a series of checks. And white cannot go to the fourth rank because of this check. And black will win the queen. Okay, but what if instead of playing king to h6, black takes the bishop? What's gonna happen now? Is this a draw? Well, let's see. Pawn takes with the check. Of course, you should not allow the rook to go takes this pawn. Now, black, of course, will not go here because the king will be able to move when we promote to a queen. Black will play king to h6. They're like, okay, a queen, of course, it's very obvious, stalemate. Rook, the same thing. How about a knight? A knight is also a draw. I know it's crazy, but it's because of king to g5. You're like, what is the idea behind king to g5? Well, this king is not forced to move anywhere else because this this knight cannot give any checks. So after the knight moves, for example, or the king goes here, black has a forcing move to get the draw, and that is h5. Either you take or you lose the pawn. So after you take back insufficient material, it's a draw. That's really dope. So like, okay, so this is pretty much a draw, right? I mean, we promote to anything, and this is still a draw. Except if we promoted to a bishop. Promoting to a bishop, that's insane. Now you're going to see why. Now, first of all, let's say, for example, black decided to play king to g5, trying to go for this plan. Well, that's a free pawn, right? If he decided to go here and attack our bishop, right? Now we play, we can play whatever we want right here, like bishop to b3, bishop to b3, or bishop to c4, the same thing. Now he tries to play king to f6, potentially trying to go here to a dark square and then push this pawn to get the draw. Now we're just playing king to f4. What's now happening right now that black can never go for this push because the king is unable to go here and support this push, and then after takes is going to be a draw. So now black has to make a move, like for example h6. There will be some kind of a bishop c2 to stop the king from defending the pawn. The king has to move somewhere, like I don't know, king g7, and here it's just very simple how to go about this. It's really cool actually. You don't push the king. You actually maneuver around the pawn to get this pawn. Like king here, king there, king there. He cannot go here. He has to move somewhere. And then after this, he has to move away. He's going to lose the pawn. And this is a very easy win for white. Okay, so what if he played something else? Like king g6, what's going to happen here? Then we're just playing king to f4. The idea here that we have to stop black from going to g5 and going for this push. That's the only thing that we need to be doing. And after king here, king to g5, well, that's just a free pawn as we've seen before. But after the king to g6, king to f4, and then this push, we don't take. That's obviously a draw. We play this move g5. Yes, he has a bastard on this side, and we have to defend this pawn with the king, but the bishop controls the pawn promotion. So black will be 100% losing this. So that's it. Thank you for watching.